All right, what's up, everyone? It's Zach, and today I'm here with a very special guest. I'm joined by my friend Drake Hardacre. Drake, how are you doing today, man?
I'm great. How about yourself?
Good, man. I'm doing really well. Thanks for asking, and thanks for taking some time to chat today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to be here.
Yeah, awesome. So, for those of you who do not know Drake, Drake is currently a personal trainer, someone that I actually met at a local gym I used to go to. We met there and then, just started chatting about kind of fitness and working out. And then that's developed into a, personal friendship where we talk about a lot of other good stuff. So, that's a little bit about Drake, just kind of very surface level and kind of a little background on how we know each other. But do you mind talking a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do these days, a little bit about your background in general?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So basically, I was a trainer at Planet Fitness for a little over a year, and then obviously COVID hit.
Hmm.
So we were out of work for like 7 months. I was probably one of the longest people that was out of work,
Yeah.
because of the situation here in Michigan. And then I came back, and then I ended up leaving Planet Fitness probably after a couple of months there. And kind of just searched around for a little bit, found Edge Fitness. They were looking for people as personal trainers, so I finally like shot my shot again, and they were like, "Yeah, we'll take you." So I've been there for like about 2 months now or so, and it's going pretty good
Yeah.
overall. I've got a pretty good amount of clients for being there for just a couple months. All the trainers there are super cool. The other thing that I do typically do is a new game called New World just came out on Steam. So that's like a MMORPG kind of aspect of a game. All my friends wanted me to download it, so here we are, and
Nice.
it's pretty cool. So
Awesome, man. No, I appreciate the little dive into your background. And yeah, it's really cool. And I think that that's something that you and I have talked about how, we both are very passionate about fitness and working out, but then also we have a lot of other interests, and some of those are gaming and stuff. And I think it's cool to kind of have that balance.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong; it's working out is probably a majority of my life, but
Right.
like I try to have like other aspects. I also like play pool and stuff. So now that the bars are opened up again, I can do that, which is nice.
Yeah. Awesome. So, Drake, you kind of talked about how fitness and working out is a huge part of your life. What's your story with that, if you don't mind me asking? Like, how'd you get involved with it? How'd you decide you wanted to be a personal trainer? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So back in like 2016 or so is when I really start getting into the world of fitness. I actually was in a relationship with someone for about 2 years or so. Just ended up not working out, and I was like in a really bad place mentally. Um,
Hmm.
so I wasn't sleeping a lot, and at the time I wasn't working. And I looked at my keys one day, and I remembered that I had a Planet Fitness membership, and I was like, well, it's got to be better than sitting at home. So let me go ahead and check it out. So I started with like a full body day just with the machines, because it's all I really knew. And for like 3 days a week, I did that, and I lost a little bit of weight. Started feeling good about myself, and I was like, I think I could keep doing this. I like this. I like the consistency as far as like being a normal part of my day. I liked just having some kind of normality that was a little bit different than what I normally did in the beginning. And I was there for about a year or so, and then I switched to Crunch Fitness, and I was there for about 2 or 3 years, and I got into powerlifting. Um, I don't remember exactly how that happened. I think I just found an app called Strong Lifts 5x5. Someone recommended that to me, and I was like, all right. So I learned like the major powerlifting stuff. I actually worked with a personal trainer for a little bit at Crunch Fitness. He taught me how to deadlift, and I was like, this is pretty cool, man. I ended up like getting some programs from some people, and then I started finding other stuff to do. But overall, like from like 2017 on, I was powerlifting pretty regularly. And that's like kind of where like I found my passion. But the main reason I started was definitely the fact that like 80, let's say 80, 85% of the guys out there, man, you go through a heartbreak, so you're like, I'm gonna be the best I can be.
Yeah, it's interesting because, just talking to friends and other people in like the fitness community, people I've met at the gym, stuff like that. I feel like that is definitely, and even if it's, a woman, that's training, like maybe she just went through a hardship or a breakup or whatever, kind of same thing, whether it's, guy or girl, kind of seems like, heartbreak or anything tough can be a good kind of like motivator to get people committed to the gym.
No, I absolutely agree with that, and it's so funny. And like as you were saying before, as far as like everyone truly does have a story. It's
Yeah.
not it's typically similar in nature, but like everyone can have a different story even depending on the circumstances. And I didn't answer your second question about why I became a personal trainer, but the main reason that I became a personal trainer was I remember my first time going into the dumbbell section of Planet Fitness because my friend had actually given me a program to do off bodybuilding.com when it was still free.
Okay.
For anyone that doesn't know, they do make you pay for your programs now. It's no longer a free service. That's how long ago that was. But I remember I was looking at my program. I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go work with the free weights.
Mhm.
I'm really scared. I'm really stressed. I have high anxiety, and at the time, it didn't seem like there was anyone really there to help me out. So I just went in blind, and obviously I had no stabilizer muscles. I think it was a chest day. So, I'm all over the place and I'm sweating, and I'm not sweating for the right reasons. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like people are watching me and, you know, eyeballing me when I'm 100% sure that wasn't the case. You know
Right.
what I mean? But like,
Right.
you feel like that, man.
Yeah.
And I remember feeling and leaving scared, and I never wanted anyone else to feel like that. Like they didn't have someone to like hold their hand in that perspective
Hmm.
and show them the way. And that's why I became a personal trainer.
I love that. That's awesome, man. Couple things I just want to throw out there based off that. It's funny. I was having a conversation recently with someone, and I started getting into fitness like 2012, 2013-ish. And I was talking to them and I was like, yeah, like I have no formal education with this, with like fitness, nutrition, anything like that. I just got a lot of my information from bodybuilding.com. And they're like, what's that? So it's funny, like you mentioned,
Bro, yeah, totally.
like it's one of those things where it's like people like us that, kind of got into fitness around that time and before, like that was like the Bible for like fitness. Like that's where you would go. Like at that time, I don't even really know if like YouTube fitness was really that big of a thing, or like Instagram. I don't even know if that was like in existence. But yeah, so much of my information I got there, and everyone's like, oh, I just go on TikTok or YouTube, chest workouts and like stuff pops up. So I just thought that was funny. And to hear you mention
Oh
bodybuilding.com.
my god, dude. Yeah, if it's I equivalent or the equal to that as far as bodybuilding.com is C4.
Yeah, yep.
Every you know what I mean? Like, and when you first start, man, that's the first thing you recognize, and you're like, "Yup, that's the pre-workout I'm going with because
Yep.
that's the only one I notice in the store."
Yeah. Yep. Oh my
Like,
gosh. That's that's a good point. And that's really funny that you mentioned that too.
dude, I haven't met someone who didn't have C4 as their first pre-workout,
Right.
like 100%. Like,
Yep.
it just I don't know if it's because of the energy drinks or just because it's a name brand that we see in different places, but
Hmm.
I'm telling you, man, like that was one of the first things I went for, and I've had a couple of discussions with like other like bodybuilders and powerlifters, and they're like, "Yup, C4 was my go-to, man,"
Yep.
and I was like, "It's freaking wild."
It is. It's so funny. So yeah, definitely it's interesting to see like how times have changed and people that got into the industry, if you will, around the same time. Like we have those like common memories, those things that people are like, what are you
Yeah,
talking about?
but like I wholeheartedly agree with you, man. Like
Yeah.
it's the fitness industry has changed even in the short amount of time that I've been in it.
Yeah.
Like there's so many other ways that you can absorb information now, whether it's online or like even just like books. I don't know, man. It's wild.
Yeah,
And
it
like it
it
makes me
is.
happy like that people have more accessibility with it.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with you. I think like there's just so much more accessibility, and not to toot our own horns, but even I think if someone's mildly interested in fitness and health nutrition, if they even listen to this podcast between the two of us, I think that there'd be information. And obviously, we're only like 10 minutes
Yeah,
into the conversation,
right,
but
right,
so I don't know what
right.
else we're going to talk about, but I'm sure someone could listen to this and be like, oh, like that's cool, or like I can relate to that. So yeah, it's just so much more accessible. And, like I was saying, I mean, for me, it was just like bodybuilder.com forums. And then like as I got more advanced, I guess you could say, that's when I could go onto YouTube and, there are a few people that I would follow there, and stuff like that. So yeah, it definitely, like you said, it makes me happy that it is more accessible. And kind of building off that, something else that you mentioned about like your personal story for becoming a trainer that I just want to, put out there to anyone listening. Like Drake said, like when it comes to working out, a lot of people can be intimidated about going there and feeling like everyone's staring at them and they're going to be like making fun of you or whatever. But like 99% of people at the gym, they don't care. Like they're not looking at
Nope.
you.
Yeah,
They
have no relevance.
like, even if you, like, I don't know, I've benched, like done like dumbbell benching before and totally just failed on like a set or something and just like felt so embarrassed and like dropped the weights or whatever. No one really cared. Like maybe,
But if anything, people had respect for you for
yeah,
that. You know, like you
exactly.
went until failure, man. Like that's and there's no other kind of like respect you can have for someone in the gym and
Exactly.
like go in like just 110%.
Yeah,
Like
for sure. So like if anything, like people will give you respect or even like in situations like that, I mean, I'm pretty sure people even say like, hey, like, are you okay? Like, you good? Like, you didn't tear anything, right?
you
So
may
I mean,
making sure you're all right. Yeah.
exactly. So it's like I think we have this like fear of being judged, or that we don't know what we're doing, so we're gonna look dumb or whatever. But if you're listening and you're a beginner or you haven't even started yet, like don't be afraid. Definitely, like if you can bring a friend or like work with a trainer, that might make you feel a little more confident. But like no one's judging you. And like to be honest, like when I work out at like a public place like a gym, I couldn't even tell you what's going on around me. Like I'm so focused on my own lifts,
You
I
know, and
don't
that's
even
what
know
it
what's
is,
going
man.
on.
You're so focused on yourself, you don't really
Yeah,
have time to look around. And honestly, man, the people that do, that's their issue. You
yeah,
know what I mean? And like I can't tell you how many times where not like 95% of the time, man, the big guys in the gym are going to be your best friends.
yeah.
Like that, it's just, I've very rarely met someone who was just absolutely massive and wasn't humble. Like
Right.
they're just super nice people. Those are the people you want to go to, like 110%. Like
Yeah.
if you're looking for guidance, man, like even like basic stuff, whether it's a form check or a spot, you want the guys that are like decently built. And I
Yeah.
always say that because like they typically know what they're doing and they know how you feel. And so they
Yeah.
resonate with that. And they're a little bit more empathetic than just like your average Joe.
Yeah, exactly. And like going off that, don't be afraid to ask people, at the gym, advice, or like, hey, I saw you doing this like bicep exercise, can I ask why you do it? Or, I've hit a plateau doing just standing curls. Do you have any suggestion? Like people that go to the gym usually, unless they're like in a hurry, usually love the gym so much, like we're willing to talk about it anytime or like
Yeah,
help.
absolutely, man. I mean, like my workouts probably take maybe an hour, 2 hours if I'm like really lazy, you know. But
Yeah.
like if I see people I know, man, it's over. It's
Yeah.
like 2.5, 3 hours sometimes.
Yeah.
Like just and that's not even like working out. That's just talking with my friends and stuff and making sure they're doing good. And that's another thing, guys. Like if you're looking for like social aspects, man, like that is the place to go.
Yeah.
I feel like that's one of the very few places now where like you can just walk up to somebody and talk to them and establish a connection. I
Yeah.
don't feel like you can do that in many places anymore without getting a weird eye.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point, and I totally agree. And like just thinking back on my life, like I've met a lot of great people. Drake, you being one of them at the gym. Whether it's someone that works at the gym or someone that's just going there to work out. Like it's just an easy way, like you're saying, to have that conversation. And like for you being a trainer at the Planet Fitness that we used to go to, like that's really easy. Like, hey man, uh, how's it going? I see you're the new trainer here or whatever, or like
Right,
I'm
right,
doing
right.
these workouts. Like, do you have any suggestions? And like that turned into, most days when I would go and I would end up seeing you, we would chat a little bit, maybe before I lift, after, while I'm lifting, and then that's just become, a great friendship outside of the gym too. So it's definitely a great place, like you said, to connect and, just like you already have that thing in common.
Exactly. I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
It's like I said, very few places can you do that anymore because we live in such a, and I'm gonna sound old, but we live in a digital world, and
Yeah.
like I think the only other real places I can really think of are like bars, really, and even
Hmm.
then, it's kind of questionable.
Right.
Like, but like in a gym setting, everyone's pretty safe, everyone's pretty comfortable. You know what I mean? As
Yeah.
long as you're not kind of being a creepo,
Yeah.
like you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, exactly. And, maybe that is a good caveat to throw out there. Like, don't be like weird and creepy, but
yeah,
if you just go up to someone and maybe if someone has like, you know, headphones in and they're going really intense, maybe like that might not be the
maybe
right
ease up.
person.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe ease up for that day.
yeah. Or even just like the biggest thing for me is like, and even like if it's a friend, you know, try to approach someone and like ask them a question or say hey, like when they're not in a set.
Yes.
Because I've definitely had moments where I'm like going for like a max, like doing like a PR, and then
Oh
someone's like,
no.
"Hey, what's up?" Or like, "How are you using that bench?" And I'm like,
It's
"Oh
me.
boy."
Your best over there, like,
Yeah,
oh man, I feel it. I feel it, and
yeah.
like I've actually like got to talk to people where like I've worked out next to them for the last 3 years or so, but like I actually have some of them that are my clients now. So like I get to like talk to them on a more like regular basis, and that's a wild concept to me,
Yeah.
for them to be like all of a sudden I work there and like these people that I already know, but we haven't talked before,
Hmm.
and now we're talking on a daily basis, making sure their programs are good and stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
And
So
I always thought that was kind of cool.
it is for sure. So, going off that, what has been your experience like as a trainer? Like, have you enjoyed it overall, or like what's the most rewarding or best parts about it for you?
See, that's such a valid question, and training for me has been pretty good overall. I'll be the first to say that like I really enjoy what I do on an emotional level. Like I said, I'm a pretty empathetic person, and like that's why I do what I do.
Hmm.
So like the clients are great, man. It's the gyms can be a little bit irritable as far as like like management teams and stuff like that. But like if you can get past that, and as long as you can understand that like you're not really there for them, you're there for the clients.
Right.
It it's definitely a rewarding experience. I mean, this is like a huge humble brag here, but like there was someone that I gave a program to at Planet Fitness, and she was just getting started. I showed her a couple of things. She sat down for the design your own program, as you know, which is like an
Hmm.
hour long or so. And we went through some exercises and made sure she was comfortable. We walked through some machines, right? All that fun stuff.
Yep.
And then I actually stopped seeing her at Planet Fitness, and I was like, oh man, I was like, I hope she's doing okay, right?
Yeah.
Started seeing her at Edge Fitness, and I was like, oh, hey, what's up,
Yeah.
And we sat down and talked for a little bit, and she actually does powerlifting competitions now,
Wow.
and has like competed, and like I don't know, like that was such a big thing for me that I made a difference in her
Yeah.
life, because she's like, I still have the first program you gave me.
That's awesome.
And I was just like, this is the coolest thing, man, that like someone kept the program I gave them, A, and B, it influenced them in such a way that they got into something that like changed their life. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, God, it's incredible. I still follow her on Instagram and stuff, and we still talk every now and again. I actually just saw her recently, hugs around and all that fun stuff. But
Yeah.
like, she posts on Instagram every day. She even brings her kid to the gym that she's at, because she doesn't come to Edge as much anymore because she goes to like a powerlifting gym.
Okay.
And like it was such a redeeming kind of like, or like or maybe like a redemption quality, that like I just felt so good
Yeah.
about the fact that she was able to like pursue something that she really enjoyed, and like that's it, man. That's what you do this for. That's the job. Like, to see someone be successful and enjoy the world of fitness, like that's why we do what we do.
I love that. That's awesome. And that's such a great story. I'm so glad that you're able to help her out and still, keep in touch and connect and everything. And, that kind of got me thinking kind of the opposite almost. Like, does it ever bother you or like make you feel like sad or upset or anything if like you don't have experiences like that? Like if you work with some clients and then like they disappear and you never see them again, or like you do like a couple sessions with them and they're like, oh, this is okay, and then like they just kind of like disappear. Like, do you ever feel like, oh, maybe I didn't give them the right program, or like I failed them as a trainer, or like, I guess, what does that look like from like a trainer's perspective?
I mean, honestly, man, like you never want to hear that, right? You never
Yeah,
want to see like someone fall off the horse.
right.
And like if you didn't question yourself as a personal trainer, I feel like you didn't legitimately care for that client.
Okay.
So, I mean, like it's important to really kind of, even if you did everything right, and just sit back and go, did I really do everything I could for this person?
Hmm.
And if the answer is yes, then, obviously move on to the next thing, right?
Right,
Because ultimately you can't make a horse drink from water if it doesn't want to.
right.
I can give someone the best program known to man. I can push them to succeed. They can have great sessions with me, but if they decide they don't want to do it, what do you do in that scenario,
Right.
right? I can still check up. I can still make sure they're doing well. I can send them a message, try to give them kind of like a positive reinforcement of like, hey, I'm still here for you. Hey, I still care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Regardless of the fact that you're paying me or not. So like, yeah, it definitely sucks. Like there's nobody wants that.
Hmm.
I actually have a client right now who's doing super well. He comes in twice a week, and he's going in. He's trying to do like a third day, so because he's a weight loss client, and
Okay.
but he's canceling PT in December, and he feels like he's learned everything that he's could. And like in my honest opinion, I don't think that's true.
Hmm.
But my thing is whether he works with me or not, if I still consistently see him after we're done training, I've done my job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like even if he has the basics of the basics, man, that's what I'm here to do.
Yeah.
So like it is it hard? Absolutely.
Hmm.
Some days, it's hard to put on the happy face and get in there and give it the best you can.
Yeah.
But on the other side of the spectrum, it's never easy to watch a client go. But it's, sometimes the baby bird's got to leave the nest, man,
Yeah.
and it's if they fly, that's the goal, right?
Hmm.
But I always hope that if even if they don't fly initially, that they do end up finding their way eventually.
Totally. Okay. Awesome. I appreciate that perspective on it. That makes a lot of sense. And I like how you kind of said, like, if you aren't questioning kind of like the quality and the value that you're giving to a client, it's almost like, did you ever really care about them in the first place? Maybe that sounds a little harsh, but I think that that's a really good perspective. And, I think that it's very easy to just, say, here's cookie cutter plan for, XYZ. And I'm just at the gym, so I'm just gonna like give you the program and go. But like to go the extra mile of tailoring a program for someone and checking up on them and seeing how they're doing, and even just realizing like this person's never been to a gym before, like let me maybe offer showing them how to do some of these exercises, or let me check in on them a little more than I would someone that's been an athlete all their life.
Exactly. So, like, don't get me wrong. The basics are the basics for the reason. Our core movements are our core movements for a purpose.
Hmm.
Those will always be in every program I program. But
Yep.
ultimately, you're absolutely right. And the way that I typically will do it is I'll give them a program, and then I will integrate a couple of those exercises into our sessions, whether it be 30 minutes or an hour.
Okay.
Because obviously we do have different variations of packages and stuff like that. So, but in that like 30 to 60 minutes, I incorporate some of the exercises I'm having them do outside of there. And
Hmm.
I'll usually end and go, hey, at like the end of our session, I'll be like, hey, it's super important to me that we establish a line of communication, because the more that you talk to me, the more I can help you.
Hmm.
If all we do is do these sessions together and then I don't hear from you outside of here, I can't effectively help you.
Right.
So if there's exercises that you're not understanding, or if there's exercises that cause you any kind of like uncomfortability or even pain, like obviously I need to sub those out and give you something that's a better alternative for you.
Yeah.
And it's super important to me that they also show that kind of same response, where like I have one person right now. His name is well, actually I won't say his name, but like he's another guy that I've been around for probably about 2 or 3 years now, and I've worked beside him a couple of times. And he actually joined the 8 week like weight loss program, but I didn't really think he needed to lose that much weight. And I was like, why are you really here, man? Like, what do you want to do? And
Hmm.
he's like, honestly, he's like, a little weight loss would be cool. He's like, but I really want to focus on strength training. And I was like, I
Mhm.
am your guy. I was like,
Yeah.
I can help you with that. He is the most responsive, Zach, that I've ever had. I'm talking like comments on every workout, messages me and lets me know how it went, whether it's something needs to be subbed out or if he went really hard that day. And like, it helps me help him,
Yeah.
you know? And like, that's, if there's any kind of advice I have for anybody that's getting into that kind of field, the more you communicate with your personal trainer, the more they can effectively help you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great advice. And honestly, man, like it definitely makes sense here, but I would say that's good advice for anything in life. Like the more you're able to communicate, like people don't know what they don't know. And, like I could be struggling with, a class I'm in right now, but if I don't tell the professor that I'm struggling, they can't help me because yeah, you have those professors who might maybe not
Yeah,
want to help, but most professors want to help you out, but they don't
but it's
know.
better than suffering in silence.
Exactly. So like
Yeah.
anything, like a job, working with a trainer, being a student, anything, like your health, if you don't communicate like what your struggle is or what's going on, whoever you're working with can't be there to support you and help you. So definitely, as Drake said, be sure to communicate it, especially with personal training, because I think, training, maybe it's just because it's something I'm passionate about, but I truly believe like if you do the wrong thing training, you can cause serious damage to your body or to your health if you hurt yourself or do something incorrectly. So make sure you're communicating for sure.
No, yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that because there's two kinds of people I've noticed that when they first get into the world of fitness, they do one of two things. And what ends up happening is they either don't push themselves really much at all,
Hmm.
just, no, or the opposite side of the spectrum, people just go as hard as they possibly can, and then they end up hurting themselves in the process.
Yeah.
I've noticed there's typically not a nice in between for that.
Right.
They 9 times out of 10, I saw there was a person that was at the gym the other day. This was probably a couple weeks ago, and I don't know if it was a dad and a son or what the situation was, but it was an older gentleman and a significantly younger teen, probably, I don't know, maybe 17,
Okay.
20 something in that range. And so they're on the bench press, and I look up, and this guy is he's a string bean. He's very lean, and doesn't look like he seemed like he's really been in the gym before.
Okay.
And I could just tell by like their body language and their conversation that they were having. So this dad or grandpa or whatever throws 135 on the bench and puts the kid under it. And I was like, man, I'm pretty sure that's close to his body weight.
Yeah.
You know, you know what I mean? And like we both know, like bench pressing your body weight is a feat.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
that is difficult to do.
Yeah.
And of course, he fails the 135.
Hmm.
And like they got to pick it up off of him. And I'm like, man, I wish I could say something, but like I don't want to come off as rude or aggressive,
Right.
and like especially with the scenario, whether it be a dad and son, it's very hard to kind of pick your battles because I wasn't in uniform or anything like that either. So it just goes to show like I'm a very strong advocate for linear periodization or like progressive overload, where like you would just add a little bit each time.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding, man. This is probably his first or second day in there.
Hmm.
So like it was a daunting experience to have
It
to watch
is.
that,
Yeah.
and just watch the the train wreck unfold in front of your very eyes.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I don't know, like from conversations I've had with other people, I think this is probably true for a lot of people that work out. But for me, I know I can say personally, like the mental aspect of working out is pretty huge. So like if that was me and this was like one of the first few times I was at the gym and I was basically set up for failure, that could make it really hard for me to want to go back to the gym or like get motivated because like I just failed that hard. So I don't know. I just feel like, at that age, teens, late teens or whatever, the kid was, that could be a time where, those gym experiences really make a break your perspective on working out.
Yeah, I mean that's a very strong developmental stage for mental and physical health. So I
Hmm.
definitely agree with that. But
Definitely.
it is the unfortunate thing that you see every day, and it's like,
True.
guys, we don't have to destroy our bodies in order to get there. It can be a slower process, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. Um, Now, so Drake, with the training that you do at the gym, so are you just training people through the gym, or do you do any training outside of the gym?
I mean, yes and no. Like
Okay.
I definitely like for financial purposes, I definitely train in my gym, right?
Okay.
So, but like outside of that, if like people are looking for help, I definitely do help them and I will
Yeah.
come in and help them, but I don't typically charge like any kind of financial compensation for that.
Okay.
My girlfriend does not agree with that, but she definitely thinks I should be charging for my skills and services and
Hmm.
all that fun stuff. But I don't typically do because it's usually a friend or a family member or something like that,
Okay.
and I just don't feel comfortable asking for that kind of compensation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I see it both ways, like you have the knowledge and the skills, so I would think, I think it's fair that you would get paid for it. But at the same time, like I know you're a really just like you're a good guy at the end of the day, and you just want people to kind of, with your own story, you want people to feel like they're not alone or that someone can help or support them and guide them through like their kind of questions and stuff. So I definitely see, why, if like a family member or friend is like, hey, I'm going to the gym for the first time, you might be a little hesitant. So definitely see both sides of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like if it's an acquaintance, I might consider it, right?
Yeah,
Like someone that I just kind of know.
sure.
But like typically the people that come and ask me know me on a pretty personal level.
Yeah.
So it's hard to be like, all right, so um I would like $20,
Right.
please. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure it kind of like depends, like if someone's like, "Hey, should I do, dumbbell bench press or barbell bench press?" That's different than like, "Hey, can you make me a custom workout plan, meal plan,
exactly.
text me
Yep.
every day?" And, you know,
Make keep up with me. Yeah.
exactly. So, definitely going off that, then like if anyone listening to this podcast like would like to see if they can find you at the gym and get your services there, or maybe they have a question, quick one or two questions offhand or something, or want to connect with, is that something you're able to do? Like, are you able to kind of get clients that way, like at the gym, or is there like a different protocol for getting
Yeah,
clients?
absolutely. So like there's a couple of different ways you can go about it. Obviously, we have our fitness assessments, which is kind of our foot in the door as
Okay.
far as like getting people in. So what that is consists of is basically run you through a small workout. I have you jump on an in-body scan. Do you know what that is, Zach?
Yeah, I've never done one actually, but
Okay. So basically like in-body scan will like measure your weight. It gives us an
hmm.
idea of like your how much muscle and you have in pounds and like how much body fat mass you have in pounds.
Hmm.
It'll typically tell you your BMI, which is an outdated concept,
Yeah.
and then it'll also teach you your percent of body fat, and then it'll also say a couple of different things about like your lean analysis, uh, basal metabolic rate, which is like the minimum number of calories you should be consuming for life sustaining function.
Yep.
And so after we do the in body, I usually will ask them a couple of questions orienting around their fitness level, what they're doing for their nutrition, etc. And then I'll run them through a small workout, kind of see where they're at with their form, if they need corrections, um, difficulty of exercises as far as like, I run them through a simple exercise round one for
Hmm.
exercises. And then it's like, all right, that didn't seem to be challenging enough for them. So I change it up for the second and third round, make sure that they're at least getting a small workout out of it.
Gotcha.
So, and then we'll typically like hand them off to like a manager, and then they'll sit down and consider pricings.
Okay.
So like I don't have to do the sales part, which is really nice because I just am not a sales guy. I'm really bad at it because
That's fair.
I don't want to say salespeople don't have hearts, but I just got a big one, man, and it's
Yeah.
hard, you know.
Yeah, it
And so
is.
the fact that I can eliminate that entirely is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
So, one of the benefits of working for Edge Fitness is definitely the fact that there is like different areas of expertise.
Hmm.
So, like, I focus more on the training aspect; they focus more on selling me. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Gotcha.
The other aspects, you can just walk up to people and ask them if they want to take their fitness assessments and schedule them and stuff, and establish a line of communication and connection.
Okay.
Again, I'm not super good at floor pulls. Is typically what they're called.
Okay.
Because you're just pulling someone from the floor,
Yep.
obviously.
Yeah.
It's not that in depth, guys. So it's that's one of the other like things you can do. I don't know. I just if someone approached me like that, I would typically take it in a negative way. So I'm a little skeptical sometimes on doing it,
Hmm.
unless I unless I see us if they really need help. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Okay.
So
So I guess like best case, if someone listening is in our general area, so and you're working at the one in Westland?
that's
Yeah.
correct. I am the
Oh,
one in Westland.
perfect. So like in that kind of Metro Detroit area or Westland specifically, the best thing for them to do if they wanted to work with you or to even see, what you have to offer as a trainer would be to head to the gym, do an assessment with you. If they like working with you and everything, then that's when they would talk to someone about like pricing and all that good stuff then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And yeah, because like basically I would just run them through an assessment, and then they would obviously sit down with someone and discuss pricing and stuff like
Okay.
that.
Perfect. And I
But
know
yeah,
you said you don't handle any of like the sales or pricing, but like to anyone listening, like do you have like a rough idea of approximately like what that would look like to work with you as a personal trainer?
I have like guidelines because I don't do it. I don't know the exact pricings, but I know that we offer a twice a week, a once a week, and then a once a month.
Okay.
So the once a month is usually a little bit more approachable,
Yep.
only because it still offers you programming, which is what a lot of people end up craving is structure.
Yep.
And I believe that one's $100 a month. And
Okay.
then the other ones have variations because you can do 30 minutes or 60 minutes
Okay.
for the once a week and the twice a week. So obviously the prices do change with that.
Yep. Okay.
Um, but yeah, so like that's kind of the basis that I have for that. And yeah, definitely like if there was any kind of recommendation for people, I definitely always recommend Fast Track, even if it's just for that month and to get a program and get started.
Yeah.
Because I'll typically program you like 4 to 8 weeks when I'm
Okay.
working with you. So even if you only do like 1 or 2 months, you'll at least be absorbing some information and have something to go off of.
Cool. Awesome. All right. So yeah, I mean, hopefully anyone listening, if you're in the area and want to check out Drake and what he has to offer, or even just the gym in general, hopefully that kind of information helps you get an idea of what kind of like the frequency that you can work with him or a trainer, or kind of like where it would lie financially, stuff like that. So definitely appreciate you sharing that. Just in general, I guess if anyone listening wants to get into working out or in fitness and has no experience, do you have any like advice to a very, very new beginner?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So like typically what I'll tell people is just to really start small. And
Yep.
like what ends up people what I'm sorry, what people end up doing, words are hard. Um is they end up going super hard for like a week or two and then they immediately get burnt out.
Yeah.
And like it's so tragic to see that happen, but it happens all the time, especially around January to March.
Hmm.
So my advice to people is start small, two,
Yeah.
3 days a week. Do work on some of the machines if that's what you're comfortable with. If you have experience with dumbbells or barbells, try that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and then usually finish out with some kind of cardio because I know what people typically start for is weight loss, like
Hmm.
95% of the time.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, I'm like, do your resistance training first, do any kind of core activity you want to do second, and then round out with like that 10 to 30 minutes of cardio, whatever you prefer.
Yep.
And that's going to help you with that weight loss, just in general. And what people really rely on is something that's like overcomplicated. I promise you guys, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
It's it's really that simple. If you do what I told you to do just now, you will see results. Like
Totally.
I tell people, typically 6 to 8 exercises for each day. Nothing too crazy. Usually maybe 3, 4 sets for each exercise. If you're
Perfect.
looking for general weight loss, I usually would suggest anywhere between like 10 to 15 reps. The reason I say that is it's good for keeping the heart rate elevated. And also, the more you do an exercise, the more you're going to understand it.
That's a good point. Okay.
That's always my recommendation for people.
Awesome. So yeah, heard it. You all heard it here first. That's some great advice to people beginning, or even if you're not really a beginner, that's still good advice to just know for your workout. So definitely appreciate you sharing that information, man. kind of switching gears a little bit. So
Yeah.
I am a little bit curious. You mentioned another interest or passion of yours is pool.
Yes.
How did that come about? I feel like that's kind of an interesting thing. You don't really hear many people say like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, I love
Like a
pool."
beer. Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. So I actually started playing pool when I was, oh God, maybe 9 years old.
Okay.
My dad was really into it. And I don't know if you're familiar with the Ivory Room on Ford Road there.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Uh, okay, so my aunt used to be a bartender there.
Okay.
So we would get in, even though, I wasn't of age, but
Mhm.
like because I was with my dad and, my aunt worked there, it was cool. We would stay for like an hour or two and play, right? So,
Mhm.
um, one of those things where like I picked it up at a really young age, and I don't know why, man, but I really fell in love with the concept. And before I got into like working out and stuff, I was all about a sport where you didn't have to do very much. So, so
Yeah.
I had my own stick for a really long time, and I just inherited my dad's sticks because he doesn't really play as much anymore. But
Okay.
I
Yeah.
uh, I just started playing. I actually was on a APA team for a little bit, so American Pool Association.
Okay.
Uh, that was really fun. I just the thing is that it's much like bowling, where I think people take it a little bit too seriously. So I kind of stepped out,
Yeah.
because people are playing competitively, and that's fine. It's just some people take it a little bit too serious,
Gotcha. Okay.
and very much about the enjoyment versus anything else. Fun
Yeah.
little story. I actually took Jasmine to play pool. That's my girlfriend for reference.
Hmm.
Uh, for the first time not that long ago, and I felt so bad because I literally cleaned the entire table. She didn't even on the first game, and I was
Yeah.
like, I am so sorry. Like I felt so bad because
Yeah.
I didn't even get to pick up the stick. You know what I
Right.
mean? And like not to say that I'm like super good, but I just had a good game, and I was like, all right, well, now I'm the jerk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like I've been playing the Ivory Room since I was at least 18 years old, man.
Okay. Nice. That's awesome. And I don't know, like I never played pool that much or anything, but I'd enjoy it here and there. And like I know kind of growing up, just going out to eat or something, if it's like a bar, sports bar, whatever, they might have a pool table. I know like my dad and we might play, a round or something while we wait for our food. So,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
grew up playing a little bit and I don't know, it's always been a fun, enjoyable game. I could never take it that seriously or anything. So I totally get
yeah.
where like, it's just more for fun, but it's a good sport and it's something that I feel like many people kind of like don't really consider or think much of, but it's a lot of
Well,
fun.
I'm a very firm believer that it is unfortunately, at least around in Michigan, a dying breed. Yeah,
Yeah,
and like you can't really find like pool hall places that like where you can buy sticks from anymore. You know what I
sure.
mean? And like
Hey, Drake, you there?
can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
I don't know what happened there. Technical difficulties.
Yes, technical difficulties.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But where I left off was I had an emerald green stick, and
Okay.
I don't know what happened to it. But one of those things where like, I must have lost it or left it at the bar one night. One of
Okay.
those things.
Hmm.
And so my dad let me have his sticks,
Okay.
and but like going back to where I got that stick, I literally bought it offline. Like you can't find a place anymore where like they just openly have them, you
Yeah.
know. And so like it's unfortunate because like the Ivory Room is really the only pool hall place around here anymore now that the electric stick isn't around. So
Mm.
I mean, and there's a couple of bars like you said that have a couple tables and stuff. Like I know there's Strikers up the street off of like Ford and Newburgh or something over there.
Yeah.
That has a couple tables and stuff that does like APA oriented stuff. I played there a couple times,
Okay.
and but I love the sport, man, and like anyone that I show it to typically enjoys doing it because it's just something fun to do, especially in the wintertime when there ain't nothing to do.
Yeah.
So like the Ivory Room's typically always popping, and like it's nice that it's like still a relevant thing,
Yeah.
in a way.
Yeah, no, I love that. It's cool, and I feel like things like that where it's maybe more like niche and it's not overly populated or saturated, I guess you could say. Like I feel like it's a cool place to find like community and just find other people that enjoy doing or talking about what you enjoy, and that could just make a difference. And again, kind of goes back to like how we were talking about like the social aspect of the gym. Just even if you're just kind of very casual with pool, go to a pool hall, play a few games, have some fun, and have some good socialization with other people that like what you like too.
No, yeah, I totally agree with that. And what ends up happening too is like you'll see a couple people and stuff, and they'll talk to you, and especially like at the Ivory Room where like you pretty much see the same people all the time.
Sure.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like
Yeah.
not a lot of people play, so like it's always a fun thing to where you get a group together and you just go drinking and playing pool and stuff, and you know the more I drink, the worse I get. It's
Yeah.
sometimes I get better, but I think that's in my head.
Oh man, that's funny. Awesome, man. Well, very cool. And it's cool to hear, as much as we talk about fitness, like we've talked about fitness on this podcast, but also in our personal life, it's always cool to hear about the other things you're into. And whether it's pool like we just talked about, or even video games. It because it sounds like that's something you've always been pretty passionate about too, right?
Yeah, I was just starting playing New World and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and one of those things where I wasn't really interested in the game, but all my friends played it, and like that's why I'm interested. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that's why it's cool to me, honestly. Like is and like, 'cause, like I don't play as much games as I used to, really.
Okay.
But I just it's hard to find the time, man.
Yeah,
Honestly, you know what I mean? Like definitely hard to find the time.
it is.
But like when I do, I typically try to play with friends and stuff. And I played League of Legends for like 10 years,
Okay. Yeah,
but I haven't played since COVID and stuff. And like I just lost interest finally, you
yeah,
know.
for sure.
But what about
Yeah,
what about you? What kind of games have you been playing?
yeah, I'm kind of in that similar boat as you, as where like gaming, there's just life's busy, so gaming is kind of something that maybe falls to the wayside or just don't have much time to do it these days. But a lot of people, I feel like growing up and just like in media at times before like esports became a thing, people would say like, "Oh, video games are bad for you," or like, "Go do something productive, like read a book or whatever." And I love to read, and that's fun too, or like go outside. But I think to me, like video games have always been a good way to like decompress or like de-stress at the end of the
Yeah,
day.
no, I,
Just kind
I
of like
definitely agree with that.
yeah, like just turn off your brain and just like mindlessly do something. Like I love a good story game, so like it's cool to be like fully engrossed and it's kind of like watching a movie. But I also love like the mindlessness of playing, a game that you don't really have to think and you can just like, just almost like muscle memory play on the controller or
That's
whatever.
honestly the kind of games that I've been playing lately, so I can
Exactly.
definitely resonate with that. Like New
Yeah.
World is like such like a casual game for me,
Right.
to where I can play with my buddies and stuff, and like raid like certain dungeons and all that fun stuff. And
Exactly.
I was like, I'm really enjoying video games again. And I was like, why is that? I'm like, oh right, because I'm not playing for competitive purposes. Like
Exactly. Exactly. And
that's
that's what makes the difference, man. Like, to kind of answer your question about like what I've been playing specifically, like, sometimes I'll just want to hop in by myself and play. Like I recently played Spider-Man Miles Morales, which is a really
okay,
great.
okay.
Um, Played the other Spider-Man for the PlayStation before that. That was a good game. So like I love those story games, but like the games that I've been playing recently, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, been a
Oh,
lot of
okay,
fun,
okay.
and Sword Art Online, Alicization Licorice. And the reason I've been playing both those games is the social aspect. Like Super Smash Bros. It's you're just playing online with some friends, catching up, whatever. And Sword Art Online, it's like a uh, MMORPG, kind of like JRPG type game. So like there's a story to it, but then where I'm at in the game, like I just hop online with some buddies and we do some raids and you know just go into the world and mess around and have fun. So, for me, I think definitely gaming at this point is more social. And the new Call of Duty, every year it comes out, so I'll probably check out this one and hop on and play with some buddies that way. So I think it's gaming's there's nothing wrong with gaming, and it's a good way to kind of just have some fun and socialize, especially like I feel like at this time of life where we're all pretty busy, like just saying like, hey, like let's hop on tonight at like 10 o'clock for a couple hours. It's easy and convenient to do.
No, I agree. I think one of the funnier things is like how certain games are still relevant that were from like when we were kids.
Yeah.
Like Call of Duty is a great example of that.
Yeah.
Like that game's been around since like 2006. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that's crazy, right? Like it's the same stuff, but like, and they change it up periodically, right?
Right. They do.
But still, it's. I mean, it's like Halo. Halo's coming out with a new game. Like that's insane, right? Like Halo 1 came out like 2004.
Yeah.
Like the fact that like there's still a lot of relevance in between these games that have been around for quite some time is
sure
crazy.
It is, and it's funny that you kind of mentioned that because like for me, I would say growing up definitely liked video games, and like middle school, high school, like middle school and early high school was like the peak of video games for me. So
I agree.
Yeah. So like I remember playing hours and hours of Call of Duty, specifically Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and Halo 3. I played those religiously. And then pretty much after like around like 16, 17, I kind of stopped, which oddly enough, that's when I started working out.
Hey, I'm starting to see a correlation
right,
here.
exactly. But like that's kind of when I stopped gaming, and I didn't get back into gaming until probably like 20, maybe like 21, 22 was like kind of when I was like, oh, like let's try gaming again. And I'm 25 now for reference. So pretty like within the last few years. But yeah, like just even seeing like, oh, Call of Duty and Halo that I played religiously growing up, like those are still the huge games. And it's been interesting to see like when you mentioned like Call of Duty came out, like when it first came out, it was very just like, I won't say accurate, but very like, realistic, if you will. And
realism,
yeah, and then like you get into the parts of Call of Duty where it's kind of like in space, or like you can use like jetpacks, or it's like robots,
or
and like,
Zombonis.
exactly. Exactly, it's like all this crazy stuff. But now like, and I don't know too much about the new Call of Duty coming out, but from what I've seen, I think it's like World War II again. So it's kind of like
we're just going back.
Yeah, in addition to like these games like still being relevant, it's funny how like if you watch the cycle of like, it used to be this way, and then everyone's like, oh, that's too boring now, we need to change it up, and they change it up pretty dramatically, and now it's like we're going back to how things used to be. It's funny to see like how like interests and hobbies, it's like they're all on a cycle, and it just takes a moment for it to get back.
I was gonna say, so like I have a question for you. Do you feel like we've kind of like run out of ideas
in terms of like video games and Call of Duty?
Yeah, just like in general, where like do you feel like we're like replicating the same stuff over and over?
Yeah.
At least from a shooter perspective, let me say that. At least from a shooter perspective, do you feel that things have been a little bit more repetitive as the years have gone on?
Yeah, I would say so. And the thing that gets me is like I say it and it kind of like bothers me, but yet it doesn't bother me because I will still get the game and play the game.
No, I mean, bro, like that's the thing, right? Like the new Battlefield's coming out. Guess what? It's the same Battlefield from 4 years ago, but it looks a little bit nicer.
Exactly. Yeah. So like, to answer your question, I definitely think like things get repetitive and like it's tough. And even just like something I've realized is it feels like just with the video game landscape in general, it's like you don't really get too many new IPs, intellectual properties. A lot of I feel like games that have come out that have been really big recently have been remakes, remasters, ports. Bringing it from like the PlayStation 3 to the PlayStation 4. So it's kind of like it's cool because like for people like us, it's kind of like nostalgic. Like this a little older of an example, but like I grew up playing the Spyro games and the Crash Bandicoot games, and
oh my god, people went nuts for those remakes.
So it's like that's awesome. I love that. That's really cool. But at the same time, it's like I've already played these, and I would love a new like Spyro game or whatever. So I think things are kind of repetitive, and I don't know if that's lack of creativity, or it's more
Running
expensive
out.
to,
Yeah.
yeah, run out of ideas, or like it's harder to say like, we're introducing this new character, and they have to make it big now. Like I don't know, like and part of me, like, I grew up playing the Sly Cooper games. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
I would kill to get like those remastered and
Right.
brought into the modern generation, but a lot of it I feel like it is those remakes, and they're cool and like it's nostalgic, but I think like the big thing for me is like seeing these newer or seeing these older games come back, but they're the price of new games. So it's like,
Yeah.
60, $70 or whatever for a game that technically is from like the early 2000s. It just looks a
Right.
little nicer. So I don't know, man. Gaming can be an expensive hobby.
I don't know if you like ever played like Halo as a whole, but like,
Yeah,
do you have PC or do you play on console?
I'm a console gamer.
Okay, so I play on PC. I think this is also on console, but I'm sure you've then heard of the Master Chief Collection, right?
Yep, it is on console as well.
Okay, cool. So like, honestly, like going back to that nostalgia thing you were talking about previously, you have no idea how cool it is to be able to just flick graphics off and on. Like,
Okay.
that's wild to me. Like in the campaigns for the games, you can switch between the old graphics and the new graphics just by pressing a button.
Wow. Okay.
Like, that's insane to me that we could do that. And they're
Yeah.
remastered, so like obviously like they have updated graphics for
Mhm.
all of the old games for like the early 2000s and stuff. And you just click one button, man, and it gives you the new graphics. And if you want to
Ooh, I think we have another technical difficulty. Can you hear me?
oh, oh, okay,
We're
all right,
back. Okay.
okay. I
Technical
think my
difficulty
I
part
think what
two.
happens is, yeah, I think what happens is my app will close like
Oh,
after a
okay.
while, and then
Gotcha.
it'll like as soon as I like it closes out, it's just like nope, you don't get to talk anymore. So,
Okay. Gotcha.
but
But we're back. Yeah. So like you're just saying
yeah,
you
we're
can like
back.
turn on and off the graphics and stuff.
It's just like, dude, if you did that for me when I was like 10 years old, like,
Yeah.
can you imagine? Like,
Yeah.
check this out, kid. Like, like, whoa,
That is crazy. And like now
like
I've never played it, so
it's wild, you
yeah,
know.
I'll have to get a hold of the collection to check it out. That'd be cool. And yeah, I mean it's just crazy how times have changed and like how far technology and graphics have improved.
Yeah, I mean, it really is night and day, and
Yeah,
like, which is a good thing. But like, are we really just paying for updated graphics at this point? You know what I
right.
mean? Like, I find very rare that like story-driven games aren't like 8-bit graphics. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, that's true.
I
So
think one of my favorite ones that I know about is like Undertale.
yeah,
Like
okay.
that's an 8-bit game, one of the coolest stories, still has relevance. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And then they released another game that I'm not sure what the name of it is, but that was also really cool.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard good things about it. I haven't checked it out personally, but I've heard it's a phenomenal game, so I will have to check that out.
But yeah,
Awesome.
all 8-bit. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
just nothing crazy, but like it tells such a great story.
right. And it's interesting because I feel like that kind of comes back like full circle with what we were talking about, how like when games first came out, they're 8-bit, and then we pull away from that, and now like that's kind of the thing again.
That's an excellent point, actually. Yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't even consider that. Like,
yeah. And to anyone listening, like if you're not maybe into gaming or too familiar with even kind of like the gaming discussion we've had, even just think back about like how, you know, when at least when I was younger and when we were younger, like we had like cassettes and then CDs, and then like everything went to like iTunes and digital, and now like everyone wants a record player and vinyl records and stuff like that. So it's just like it's the trends change and stuff, and like even like clothing, the clothing styles that were popular in like the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, like that went away. Now it's kind of coming back and stuff. So pretty much anything like you can think of, like it has that like cycle of coming in and out at different phases. Did I lose you again?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay,
My
yeah,
phone closed
you're
again.
good. You're good.
But I am a strong believer in that vinyl did sound better, and I have quite a big vinyl collection
Okay.
myself. So
I agree.
um,
Something weird about it. It sounds better, or it just I don't know. You get a better feeling from the music, and I feel like it sounds more lively, if that makes sense.
I agree. I agree. There's a couple of like live vinyl records that I have. It's just you can't replicate that sound, man. I don't know,
No,
something about it.
yeah, it's crazy stuff, but it's cool, and it's cool to see these kind of things, coming back into relevance and everything. I mean, I guess it makes things more expensive than they were like
True.
5 years ago. Like records are a lot more expensive now than they used to be, but it's cool to see it come back, and like it's cooler to see like the generation, younger generations learn about and appreciate some of the things that maybe previous generations have appreciated, or to have part of our daily life.
You mean like the save icon?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh my god. People have never even seen what a floppy disk is, man. That's wild to
I
me.
know. It's crazy. I mean, I guess it makes sense, like as time goes on, things become obsolete and
Well, yeah,
part of
for
history.
sure.
But it's like when you have those conversations, like it's just wild. Or even like I was, at work the other day talking to someone, and they're like, "Yeah, think back to like when you were a freshman in college," and I was like, "That was 7 years ago, man."
Right, yeah,
Like
it
that.
just puts it into perspective, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I'm like, "Oh my
oh.
gosh!" So if anything, like enjoy life while you can, everyone. I know that like when we're younger, and even maybe in our early mid 20s, we kind of want to get to the next chapter of life, which it's valid, but enjoy life while you can, make the memories, and just don't take it for granted, because before you know it, time is a blur, and you're like, where did all that time go?
Oh man, that is the facts. I actually just turned 27 like 2 days ago. And like we're coming up on my 10-year high school reunion and all this fun
Yeah,
stuff. And I'm like, where? Oh man, like where do we go? And I was like, oh yeah, I did graduate when I was 17. Like,
exactly. Yeah,
oh,
it's like stuff like that. And just even like for me, I don't know if everyone else can relate to this, but like when I was younger, I'd always be like, "Oh yeah, like my 16th birthday is coming up, my 17th birthday or whatever." Or like someone's like, "Hey, how old are you?" I'm like 16. Whereas like now, I feel like if people are like, "How old are you?" I'm like, "Wait, let me think." Like I
oh
genuinely don't
yeah,
remember how old I am,
oh
and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm 25." Like I don't know. I feel like as you get older, your birthdays just like become so much less significant, and you just don't
yeah.
care about them anymore. You're like, "Dude, I don't even know how old I am."
I really feel like 25 is the last milestone, and it's for all of the wrong reasons. Where like your car insurance goes lower.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
it's like oh here's your mediocre uh, age appropriate gift.
Yeah.
You get your car insurance is lower. Congratulations.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's truly what it is, and I feel like after that, it's just a blur. And next thing you know, you're 30, and then 40, and
Oh man, don't
just
don't even bring the 30 up, man. I'm
right.
almost there. Don't do
Yeah.
this to me. Oh
Oh man,
man, the fact
jeez.
that I'm 27 now, it's whew.
Yeah, I can imagine, man. But I'll be there soon. I mean, I'm coming up on 26, and then yeah, year about like a year and a half or a year and so, and I'll be with you at 27. So
Oof.
it's
That means
crazy.
I'll be 29.
Yep.
Oh my
Oh man, let's not
lord.
think about those days yet.
Yeah, let's avoid that,
For sure.
please. Oh,
Oh man. Awesome. Well, Drake, it's been a great time talking to you as always. I appreciate you coming on and chatting. Is there any like last thoughts or last words or message that you want to give to anyone listening today?
absolutely. There is a mantra that I live by, and I hope that if there's anything you take from this, it's these next three words: keep moving forward.
Keep moving forward. I love that. It's great, and it's simple, and it might sound a little silly, but I think it's a very powerful thing to keep in mind. And we all unfortunately go through some tough moments in life, but just as Drake said, just keep moving forward. And it might not be the easiest thing to do, but it's worth it, and you'll see the kind of dividends pay off.
Absolutely. It's actually from my favorite movie, Meet the Robinsons. So
Meet the
it
Robinsons. Okay.
yeah, it's a great movie. Check it out. It's an animated movie. Pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Okay. Awesome. So check out Meet the Robinsons. Keep moving forward. Great quote to live by, and just to remind yourself of, no matter what you're up against, keep moving forward. Um, Anyone that was listening, if you want to check out Drake, see if you can get with him as a personal trainer, or even just follow along on his fitness journey. I know that you're pretty active on Instagram. Do you know your Instagram off the top of your head?
Yeah, it's I actually made it like a millennia ago, so it's very simple.
Okay.
It's my first name Drake 13.
Okay. Drake
So
13. Perfect. So I will put that in the description as well. But go follow Drake on Instagram, and whether something we talked about, resonated with you and you want to let Drake know, or maybe you have a question or two and want to see if he can help you out, or just like I said, check out his progress. It's to me, it's really inspirational, and it's cool to see a good person posting out positivity and their fitness journey. So definitely Drake's a good follow. So again, social media will be in the bio. But yeah, man, it's been a pleasure. I love talking to you, whether it's on recording or outside. So it's a pleasure as always.
I was about to say it's been such a great time, man. Like it's really nice to be able to touch base with you after so long.
Yeah, definitely. We'll definitely have to, chat again soon. You're always more than welcome to come back on the podcast anytime, but I'm sure we'll be talking off the record and, catching up and stuff. And when I'm back in the area, we'll definitely have to, I don't know, maybe play pool or something.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Or go bowling, whatever. It's getting winter time, so we'll have to do inside sports.
Exactly, man. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you again. And you take care, man. I'll talk to you soon.
You too, Zach.